In a breathtaking display of unity, diplomacy, and royal gravitas, Aarhus, the vibrant heart of Jutland, became the center of European attention on July 3, 2025. The flags fluttered gently in the summer breeze, the streets gleamed with anticipation, and a palpable sense of national pride filled the air. All eyes were on King Frederik X and Queen Mary of Denmark as they stepped onto the historic stage of European diplomacy to mark a new era, Denmark's assumption of the presidency of the Council of the European Union for the year 2025. The moment was nothing short of regal. As the royal motorcade rolled into the city, cheers echoed through the streets. Crowds gathered along the boulevards, waving Danish and European Union flags, capturing every moment on their phones, but more importantly, etching the memory in their hearts. It wasn't merely a ceremonial visit, it was a symbolic declaration. A message from Denmark to Europe and the world. That leadership, progress, and unity are not just policies on paper but lived values, embodied by a nation and personified by its royal couple. King Frederik, dignified in a sharply tailored navy suit, exuded calm authority and a deep sense of responsibility. Since ascending the throne earlier this year, Frederik has balanced the gravitas of monarchical tradition with the modern edge expected of a 21st-century king. Queen Mary, stunning in a minimalist yet bold ensemble in EU blue, was the epitome of grace and diplomacy. Her very presence echoed the elegance of a sovereign consort who understands the weight of her role and wears it with both humility and power. The ceremony, held in the heart of Orhus historic district, was as much a cultural showcase as it was a political milestone. With its medieval cobbled streets, contemporary architecture, and vibrant student population, Orhus was a fitting location. The city's blend of old and new mirrored the delicate balance Denmark now aims to strike within the EU, respect for foundational treaties while forging innovative paths in sustainability, technology, and inclusive governance. As King Frederik took to the podium, the atmosphere turned electric. His speech, eloquent yet grounded, was more than just opening remarks, it was a call to action. He spoke of the need for unity in an increasingly fragmented Europe, the importance of confronting climate challenges head-on, and the role of small yet committed nations like Denmark in shaping a resilient and forward-looking EU. Every word was met with applause, every pause filled with reflection. It wasn't just royal protocol, it was leadership in motion. Queen Mary's address followed, a moment many anticipated not just for its content but for what it signified. Ever since her early days as Crown Princess, Mary has been a formidable force in social advocacy, and today, she brought that strength to the continental stage. She emphasized inclusivity, women's empowerment, and youth engagement as essential pillars for European cohesion. Her words resonated deeply, especially among the younger attendees and dignitaries who saw in her not just a royal figure, but a champion of progress. This wasn't a day marked by ceremonial gestures alone. The event included performances from Danish artists, a vibrant EU cultural exhibition, and panels on innovation and policy direction. The convergence of political leaders, cultural icons, and everyday citizens turned Orhus into a living, breathing symbol of European unity under Danish stewardship. And yet, it was the public's response that truly elevated the moment. The city was adorned with murals, children waved hand-drawn flags, and cafes offered EU-themed pastries. It was more than nationalism, it was a celebration of shared values. From university students discussing policy, over coffee to pensioners recalling past presidencies, everyone was part of the narrative. Social media erupted with admiration. Images of Queen Mary's fashion choice, a nod to the EU colors with subtle Danish embroidery, went viral. Analysts commented on King Frederik's poised statesmanship, comparing him favorably to monarchs who left lasting legacies through both tradition and modern engagement. International press lauded Denmark's ability to blend charm with influence, beauty with purpose. The symbolism of the royal couple's presence extended beyond mere support. It underscored a deeper narrative, that monarchy, when aligned with national values, can play an essential role in diplomacy and civic inspiration. King Frederik and Queen Mary weren't just representing Denmark. They were representing a shared European vision at a time when such unity is more crucial than ever. The day's events concluded with a grand reception attended by EU leaders, ministers, and invited citizens. Toasts were raised, not just to the presidency but to the ideals of cooperation, transparency, and shared prosperity. The Queen engaged with young innovators, while the King held impromptu discussions with environmental leaders and policy makers. It was monarchy at its most modern, accessible, thoughtful, and deeply engaged. What happened in Aarhus on July 3, 2025, was more than a page in the royal calendar. It was a defining moment in Denmark's story, a chapter that will be revisited in years to come as a model of how a nation, under the guiding presence of its royals, can step onto the world stage not with pomp, but with purpose. The crown that King Frederik wears is not merely a symbol of history, but one of responsibility, and on this day, that responsibility was beautifully fulfilled. As Denmark leads Europe through the challenges and opportunities of the year ahead, the royal couple's role will undoubtedly continue to shine. Their presence has already set the tone, principled, passionate, and poised for action. In a continent looking for hope and leadership, Denmark has stepped forward with both. For many Danes and Europeans watching the ceremony live on television or streaming it on digital platforms, it wasn't just another diplomatic occasion, it was a convergence of heritage, hope, and history. The sight of King Frederik and Queen Mary walking hand in hand through the cultural corridor of Orhus sent a powerful message to both Danes and the broader EU community. Denmark was not merely hosting the presidency, it was embracing it with soul, intellect, and royal integrity. Among the sea of suited delegates and dignitaries stood the people of Orhus, fathers carrying children on their shoulders, elderly citizens wrapped in shawls, students draped in EU flags. There was something grounding in that imagery, a reminder that the policies discussed in council halls ultimately affect the people who stand patiently on sidewalks waiting for a royal wave. And King Frederik understood that deeply. Throughout the day, he took time to greet citizens, speak with volunteers, and even laugh with curious schoolchildren. His demeanor, calm yet attentive, reflected the Danish concept of samfundssind, a word that loosely translates to community spirit, a sense of collective responsibility. It wasn't just about being seen, it was about connecting. That ethos has defined Frederik's reign thus far, a monarchy that listens. Queen Mary, in parallel, displayed the kind of quiet leadership that is more powerful than declarations. Her participation in roundtable discussions with young EU entrepreneurs, climate scientists, and cultural ambassadors revealed not just her commitment to the occasion, but her ability to bring visibility to issues that might otherwise get lost beneath larger political headlines. When she sat beside a young Lithuanian coder launching an EU-funded environmental app, her eyes lit up with genuine curiosity. And when she spoke to a Syrian Danish refugee who had become an ambassador for cultural integration programs, she listened with both compassion and resolve. Observers have long noted Mary's unique evolution from Tasmanian-born commoner to queen consort of one of Europe's oldest monarchies. But what was unmistakable during this historic event was that her impact is not rooted in royal protocol, but in human connection. Every smile, every thoughtful question, every moment of attentiveness turned her into more than a ceremonial figure, she became an ambassador in her own right. The day's most poignant moment came during the cultural performance at Monarchs at Orhus, where musicians from all 27 EU member states joined Danish performers for a symphonic tribute to unity. As the orchestra swelled with the notes of Beethoven's Ode to Joy, the EU's anthem, the camera caught a quiet moment between Frederik and Mary, a glance, a nod, a shared breath. It was intimate, unscripted, and deeply moving. In that moment, they weren't just king and queen. They were partners in a shared destiny, one that transcended borders, bloodlines, or politics. Behind the glamour of the day, much had gone into the preparation. Teams from the Danish royal court, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the European Commission had worked tirelessly to ensure every detail was perfect, from the eco-friendly transport used for dignitaries to the sustainable locally sourced menu served at the reception. The decision to host the ceremony in Orhus, rather than Copenhagen, was intentional. It was meant to spotlight the broader Denmark, the cultural pulse of the provinces, and to decentralize power from the capital, a concept that has become increasingly relevant in the European conversation around regional empowerment. Journalists and analysts noted this choice as a statement of values. Denmark wasn't just taking on the presidency, it was redefining the narrative of how leadership is demonstrated. No grandiosity, no elitism, just competence, humility, and cultural pride. That, paired with royal engagement, made for an unforgettable start to what is sure to be a pivotal year for Denmark and Europe alike. Back in the council chambers where policies are made and legislation negotiated, the Danish presidency has laid out an ambitious agenda. Sustainability, digital transformation, defense cooperation, and youth engagement top the list. But it was the royal couple's presence that gave these policy points a human face. When Queen Mary spoke of environmental resilience, her years of advocacy for sustainability gave her words weight. When King Frederik referenced the digital future, his conversations with Denmark's tech sector added credibility. But beyond speeches and ceremonies, what really made this day echo across Europe was its emotional resonance. The letters that poured in from citizens across the continent told their own story. One French teacher wrote about watching the ceremony with her students and how it sparked a class discussion on European identity. A Polish pensioner shared memories of his time as a migrant worker in Denmark and expressed pride in the country he once called home. A Greek youth leader thanked Queen Mary for referencing the importance of youth voices in shaping tomorrow. These were not orchestrated responses, they were organic reactions to something rare in politics: authenticity. The Danish media hailed the event as a triumph of national character. International media outlets followed suit. The BBC praised the graceful diplomacy of Denmark's new monarchs, while Germany's Der Spiegel noted the refreshing humility of leadership. France's Le Monde called the ceremony a modern lesson in statecraft from a small nation with a big heart. Even the New York Times weighed in, emphasizing the powerful symbolism of monarchy and modern democracy working hand in hand. What's particularly fascinating is how this event has already begun to reshape perceptions of the Danish monarchy itself. For decades, the royal family has enjoyed steady popularity, thanks to Queen Margrethe II's intellectual presence and unshakable work ethic. But now, with King Frederik and Queen Mary stepping into the forefront, a new era is emerging, one marked by modernity, activism, and global awareness. If Margrethe was the queen of tradition and intellect, Frederik and Mary are carving out a reign defined by empathy, accessibility, and global relevance. There is also a more subtle dynamic at play, one of healing. Europe in 2025 stands at a complex crossroads. Political polarization, post-pandemic recovery, digital disruption, and climate urgency all converge into a whirlwind of uncertainty. In such a landscape, Denmark's soft power, embodied through its monarchy, becomes a stabilizing influence. The image of a king and queen engaging with citizens, listening instead of declaring, collaborating instead of commanding, this image becomes a balm for a continent yearning for hope and direction. In the days following the ceremony, Orhus has continued to buzz with energy. Tourists have flocked to Dock 1, the library and cultural center where many EU-themed exhibitions have been installed. Schools are running special modules on the EU Presidency, integrating lessons from the royal speeches. Social media challenges inspired by Queen Mary's speech on sustainability have gained traction among Gen Z influencers. Even local businesses are branding themselves as part of Denmark's EU Year, offering discounts for EU nationals or showcasing products that align with the presidency's goals. In Copenhagen, the Royal Palace has already released new images of the royal couple at work with their advisory teams, preparing for the next series of events. The calendar is packed: climate summits, innovation forums, youth parliaments, and bilateral visits to EU capitals. The monarchy's role is, officially, symbolic, but what King Frederik and Queen Mary have proven is that symbolism can inspire, galvanize, and even transform. As Chapter 15 of this evolving royal journey unfolds, the legacy of July 3rd continues to grow. The streets of Aarhus may have returned to their daily rhythm, but the echoes of that moment, of flags waving, of heartfelt speeches, of shared laughter and solemn commitments, still reverberate. Denmark has taken the helm of Europe, not with force, but with dignity. And the royal couple has become the lighthouse guiding that ship into uncertain waters. So as we look to the months ahead, the question is no longer whether Denmark can lead Europe, it's how far this royal-infused diplomacy can inspire change beyond its borders. Can empathy be a tool of governance? Can monarchy reinvent its role in a democratic union? Can elegance and authenticity coexist with political power? We'll be here to follow every moment, every event, and every speech that defines this new chapter. But now, we ask you, as Denmark leads, what kind of Europe do you hope to see emerge? Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful and inspiring royal coverage. Like this video, share it with those who care about Europe's future, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. we love hearing from you. Until next time, thank you for watching.